Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello, welcome to the second wrap up session and in a way the last session of our course on Marketing Management 2, where we have discussed mainly the deployment approaches to marketing strategy through the famous model of marketing mix, namely through the understanding of product, price, and today we are going to discuss the second set of the so called P's. We are going to discuss place, that is distribution, and promotion, that is integrated marketing communication. I am Jayanta Chatterjee and I have here with Professor Shashi, Shekhar, Mishra. We are both from Industrial Management Engineering Department of IIT Kanpur.
Hello.
So, what we are going to discuss is product and distribution strategy. Little bit these we have quickly covered. I will quickly go over these slides because we have covered these points in the last session with Professor Mishra. So, but I will make some additional interesting points which you may find useful when you think about distribution. So, products are bundles of physical service and symbolic attributes which are designed to satisfy buyers' wants, but not all goods and services are the same. They can be classified into three categories. We call them convenience products, shopping products, and specialty products. It will, if you look at this diagram, it will become clear. So, if you see on the left hand side, we have these issues or rather that purchase frequency and the value or the price that we have per unit of purchase, and the distribution channel, and as well as the kind of number of retail outlets that are needed. So, convenience products, as the picture shows, are things like say bread or atta or rice or chips or wafers or other snacks or other food and beverage products. So, here these are products needed for our daily use. So, obviously, we will be purchasing it frequently. The store image here is not that important. On the other hand, the product brand is plays a very important part. So, you as long as you are getting what you are looking for by way of the Ashirvad atta or Bonvita or Lay's chips, etc. So, you do not mind as long as you see the date of expiry, etc., and you will buy it from any place. And the price usually here, each transaction value is low, and promotion responsibility remains with the manufacturer, and distribution will be many wholesalers, many retailers. So, you will have a widespread distribution. So, you see the product nature has close correlation with what kind of place or distribution strategy you are going to follow. Take the next lot, which is shopping product. As the picture shows, this can be a music system, a TV, or a maybe a fridge or something like. So, a little bit higher value, even your apparels, that means dresses, etc., or shoes will come in this category. Here these are not purchased daily or weekly, maybe once a year or twice a year, or maybe once in 3 years or once in 5 years. So, here store image becomes very important. You see the difference here, the store image is not that important, the product image is very important. Here the product image is important as well as the store image is important, because the buying decision often takes place at the store and the expertise of the frontline people, the sales assistants are become very crucial. So, here store image is very important because that gives you the trust, that gives you the assurance for a long term service and reliability, etc. So, the price will be here relatively high. These are normally consumer durables or even high value furnishings, etc. And here the promotion will have to be both by manufacturer and retailer. That is why you will see, if you go to any consumer durable store, you will see there is lot of point of sale promotion and explaining the different features, lot of brochures are available, lot of displays are available to highlight that what the product can do for you.
In fact, the local level of the this promotion part, some part of the responsibility is taken by the retailers in that particular territory where they have been assigned.
Absolutely.
So, it goes beyond the point of sale also sometimes.
Yes, in fact, on FM radio you will often see the promotion for this kind of product being done by the local HP computer retailer or the LG refrigerator distributor and so on. And here the distribution channel, there will be few sort of wholesalers and there may be number of retailers. Some of these retailers are exclusive and in some cases deliberately the company puts its product with such retailers who have other refrigerators. So, because a dominant player LG or Samsung, they may want their products be compared with other products and therefore, they will go to such retailer who will have multi brands, multi manufacturers, and here number of retail outlets obviously will be relatively few, quite few compared to these which will be at the every nook and corner of your locality. And finally, we come to the specialty products. These are almost like business to business products. These are high value products, very infrequently purchased, as it shows like jewelry or like a car. So, here the store image is important, the product image is very important, the price is high and the promotion will be similar, but here the promotion will be a lot more by the manufacturer. On the other hand, the retailer may do some complementary promotion with respect to service, etc., that are available or assurances that are available locally. Sometimes the local dealer also acts as a service person in case of cars and they provide some additional packages for service, free service or annual maintenance contract and so on. Here again there will be few wholesalers and lots of much lesser number of retailers compared to convenience products, and on the whole the number of retail outlets will be very small, even fewer than what we see here. For example, in Kanpur I think we have only, earlier there used to be only one major dealer for Ford, now I think there are two, but or there may be two for Maruti. So, there will not be more than two in a very large metropolis. They may divide the whole of National Capital Region and Delhi in 4 parts and there may be 8 dominant players, 2 in each area. But on the whole it remains the few. Similarly, if we actually look at business goods also have these categories. There are installation products such as, these are capital goods which goes into fixed assets. Then we have accessories, these are facilitating goods like tables, chairs or air conditioning, etc. They are short lived capital items than these items. These are the CNC machines or a paint line and so on, and the fewer decision makers. Here there may be a lot of decision makers, there will be fewer decision makers here, and then we have the components and parts which go and become go into the equipment itself. So, this will be the engine block or the steering column of a car, and then we have raw materials and consumables. Now, again here there will be different approaches to distribution as well as to promotion. So, products like these or products like these are supplies which are required for daily operation. So this may need this may be supplied by dealers, but this may be supplied by number of dealers, the raw materials. But as we go up here, we will see that there will be more and more direct purchase. So this is the way distribution happens here. In case of services also, similarly the B2C or B2B service, accordingly there will be these kinds of distinctions that we have seen in case of the physical goods. So in marketing strategy implication, in B2B therefore greater emphasis is on personal selling for installations and many component parts, and even customers are often involved in new product development. So we will discuss this. Advertising is more commonly used to sell supply and accessory equipment. These sort of the main capital goods, they are not very advertising oriented. So if we come to distribution strategy, these points I have already discussed. The earlier so far whatever the points I made, these are kind of some add on points I thought we have not covered well when I discussed the main topics during the week 4 to week 6, but or 7th week. So, but these points that I am going to dwell upon now are already well covered. So please refer to your week 6 and 7 lectures and you will have most of these. So distribution channels are basically pathways through which the legal ownership gets transmitted from the manufacturer to the final consumer or the business user, and physical distribution therefore is a way that ownership transfer happens through the actual movements of products from producer to consumer or a business user. So we have direct distribution, we have discussed this, that is the direct contact between producer and customer, and this is most common in B2B markets as we have discussed. And then we have even relatively expensive complex products that may require demonstration, etc. So for example,
capital goods like
also very high value consumer durables, we may see direct distribution, but internet is helping companies to distribute directly to consumer market even this kind of complex products. So a very high value watch may be using some latest technology like solar power or light. There are some high value watches which can get power on even from normal ambient light, and they never need any battery replacement, they get charged. Or there are some very high value watches, they have perpetual motion based charging. So they are spring bound, but the spring gets you do not have to wind the spring like the old watches, it just gets with your hand movement it gets the spring gets charged.
In fact, here I would like to add, even in B2B markets with this technology is helping in sales, in the sense like companies have inbuilt simulations where the customers or the engineers can go to their website,
absolutely,
keep or provide the inputs to their existing process related inputs, and through that simulation the company tells you like how much improvement in your productivity or how much savings in your cost or different aspects you can make the improvements by installing or by buying the new system, and what will be the ROI. So through these things also they are gaining or getting the leads for the new customers through the internet, even in the B2B markets.
Absolutely. And this in B2B and even in some way in B2C high value products, customers can often now use this what we call configurator software. So in complex electrical panels or large automation systems, and even in case of when you buy your computer from Dell, so you can use this configurator software, you can configure your own system, and you can also see pros and cons of alternative designs and make a lot of decisions from before. And in a way, when you use these websites and use those manufacturers, these software, you become more and more amenable to buying your final product or system from them. So, distribution channels are primarily also what we call a network of intermediaries. So, often they are also called channel partners or marketing partners. So, they fundamentally its purpose, as we discussed, is to distribute the product through wholesaler and retailer, and most often used for products that sell inexpensively and thousands of customers in widely scattered locations, mainly as we discussed for the convenience products. And this diagram, which is taken from an older version of Kotler, is shows the basic rationale for having distribution channel, that if the same customer had to buy from different manufacturers, and there are these 4 occasions, 4 customers and 4 manufacturers, we have 16 transactions. But if we create an intermediary who acts as an aggregator of products coming from these 4 manufacturers, then the number of transactions will get reduced to 8. This is the based on the transaction cost theory, where it says that all businesses basically succeed on the basis of minimizing the transaction cost, and that is a driving rationale for all businesses. It shows the driving rationale for why we adopt distribution. So, we have discussed these again also in detail about the wholesaler, and then we have discussed that distribution channel can be this wholesaler can be manufacturer owned. It happens that in some products this happens because
quite commonly in B2B markets.
Exactly, because here what happens is that your own sales branch will have its own warehouse, and they will be acting as a way in a way as your wholesaler intermediary.
So, you have actually more control on your distribution network.
Absolutely. And you will have you can manage the pipeline much better. You can move inventory from one location to the other location if there is sluggish demand here and more demand at elsewhere, or if there is an emergency requirement at some place for an industrial part, then if you have this form of manufacturer owned wholesales arrangement, then it will be easier. But normally it is independent wholesaling intermediaries. So, they represent different manufacturers, usually non-conflicting manufacturers. So, the same wholesaler may have light fittings from one manufacturer, fans from another manufacturer, may have electrical distribution products from another manufacturer. So, they are actually those they are performing the role of aggregation, and in some cases they may be even competing products.
Competing brands
competing brands can be with the wholesaler. It depends on the manufacturer's policy. Some manufacturers do not mind if a wholesaler has competing products, because they are sure about their own strength of their own products, but some others actually restrict the wholesaling to their own exclusive distributors. So, their merchant wholesalers are independent, and then there are full function merchant wholesalers. That means they not only provide the product, but they add all those other layers, augmentation through service, through accessories. So, they are you can call them as value added resellers. So, also full function, and then you can have limited function. So, in India there are many limited function merchant wholesalers. They are called C and F agents. They fundamentally they act as very large warehousing warehousers, and they also help the cash flow of the manufacturer, because they basically pay, lift the product, store the product, and from them the wholesalers buy. They retain some margin. So, if they basically these people leverage availability of space and availability of working capital to offer value. And then we have agents and brokers who actually have no working capital requirement, because they never take the title of the product. the ownership transfers directly from the manufacturer to the customer. These people only take commission. This is also in industrial products particularly, or in very high value consumer purchase, like say maybe a house or maybe some land, you will find such existence of such intermediaries. And then we have manufacturers representatives, they also act almost like brokers actually. I spent some time during the discussions on distribution on retailing, because this is an important emerging growing part, vibrant part of marketing today. So, retailers are channel members that sell goods and services to individuals for their own use rather than for resale. So, that is the definition of retail. So, wholesalers are selling to retailers for further onward sale, but retailers are people who are in direct contact with the end consumers. Final link of the distribution channel. There are two types, stores and non-store. This diagram is again very interesting. This is actually the non-store retailers. So, they can be either the direct selling examples from direct manufacturers to consumer, like the Eureka Forbes type. So, this is a retailing, door to door retailing, but there is no store. That person is almost carrying the whole store at his in his backpack. All the different varieties, and he can assemble it in front of you, he can do the demonstration, he can book the order and he can make the delivery. A direct response, these are actually where you look at catalogs, or you look at the website and you call on telephone. So, earlier this was this was a major activity. Now, of course, a lot of these activities has moved to internet, but even today actually there is a blend. People actually may make a comparison on the internet, but finally when they have two items chosen, they may actually call somebody and discuss. And many types of manufacturers like mobile phone or computers and accessories, they actually encourage that you call them. So, they provide toll free line, and because through interaction they can sometimes upsell. That means you might have chosen a particular model, but they might convince you to buy something a little bit more expensive with more features, genuinely, not as a manipulation. But so these two, direct response and internet retailing, are blending with each other as I discussed in detail. This is just a reminder of that particular discussion. And then we have automatic merchandising, this also I discussed, like the vending machines, etc. So, that is also another channel of distribution, and this is in India that is expanding as we are modernizing our airports, our railway stations. These vending machines are becoming important.
I think one of the sector where we see a lot of this thing is being adopted is the banking sector, where instead of going inside the bank, you can do multiple operation at the outside the bank.
And in a way that is automatic. So, they are called also ATM, like automatic telling.
So, in that sense basically it is beneficial for both the bank as well as customers, because a customer does not have to go through the routine process or stand in the long queue. They can just choose the time of when they are or the machine is free. On the other side, the bank has routed some of their the customer to the other things, I mean the outside bank, and more probably the kind of transaction they want, they are happening through the banks.
And you can also use, as you rightly said, that like high net worth individuals may be served inside, and low transaction activities can be done outside. So, that brings your banking example is a good one, because in retailing how you will compete. So, in retail banking, for example, if you are located in a Kanpur, Karnalganj Bazaar area, and you have many small merchants as your customers, then your strategy of retailing will be different. Then you will actually use lot of these machines, but looking at the nature of this thing, you may actually have to have like old style human tellers, because people would like to have that human touch, and though each person may be a small trader, but the banking requirement and their rolling of money may be quite fast. So therefore, some of these branches are in terms of their deposit and in terms of their total volume of transaction can be huge. So you identify your target market. So retailing strategy will depend what kind of target market you are serving, and then accordingly you decide your customer service strategy, your pricing strategy, your product strategy and so on. So in a way, retailing and overall marketing strategy are quite closely aligned, as we see from here. We had a lot of interesting discussion about this location of a retail store, and I showed you the mathematical models that can be used using weight method, etc. Finding the most optimal point in terms of travel by consumers and so on. So location is a very another interesting area for in the retail marketing domain. And I am now coming to a conclusion of the distribution part. So building a promotional strategy has a close correlation with what is your retail market, what is its location, what is its target market it is serving, and some of the other issues we discussed also in retailing is this issue of store layout, store atmosphere, etc. I am just putting up these points for you as a reminder. Please do go back to the those sessions and read also from the book the relevant chapters to get proper understanding of these concepts. This is just a reminder for your upcoming examination. Then I move to distribution channel logistics, some of the issues that we have discussed, that how you will select a distribution channel. Again, it will be dependent on what product, what whether it is a convenience product, whether it is a shopping product, whether it is a specialty product, and what kind of customers you are serving, and so on. So like for example, complex, expensive customized products, they may need a distribution channel which is short or at fast, because you are looking at high velocity transmission from the source to the consumption point. Whereas you need small value, small package, small ticket items like say wafer packages or a package of a beverage or a packet of noodles, you may have to have a long distribution channel, because you have to reach out to the interiors, and that may need you to go through multiple stages. So these are the ways you select your distribution channel, the length of the distribution channel, and then we also had a lot of discussion on intensity of distribution. So very intensive distribution is needed if you are selling chips, and selective distribution can be taken, or exclusive distribution can be taken when you are going for consumer durables or specialty products, or shopping products and specialty products. Shopping products will mean selective distribution, specialty products will mean exclusive distribution. So that is it. I think this is my last slide. This I think I have also mentioned. Then depending on the your length of distribution chain and the velocity you want in your distribution from the source to the consumption, you may need to make combinations of rail, water, truck, pipeline. So I discussed about piggybacking and fishtailing and all that. So where actually that means that how you combine rail and truck, or water and truck, or air and road, and this kind of stuff, the combinations. These are the modes of transport, and that sort of is our last slide. We still have a few more interesting points, and that's we will take up just now with respect to promotion. Thanks. So in the second part of this last session of week 8 of our course on marketing management 2, I am now going to discuss a few important points about marketing communication. We have covered these points only last week, so I do not think you need many reminders, but it is good to go through the main highlight points. Like promotion is fundamentally its communication, and these days, as I explained, we call it more integrated marketing communication rather than the word promotion. So communication by marketers that informs, persuades and reminds potential buyers of a product in order to influence or create opinion. So this is the interesting slide. It shows that overall marketing objectives that leads to the marketing mix with respect to the target market, and the marketing mix here we are discussing promotion. So promotion has its own mix, like advertising, public relations, sales promotion, personal selling, and that all together will lead to the promotion plan. We have discussed this point in a lot of details. So ultimately competitive advantage will come from high product quality or rapid delivery, that means some kind of your better process, your low prices, excellent service, unique features. But whatever may be your bundle of differentiation or whatever is your unique selling proposition, that has to be effectively communicated to your target market, and that is the main role of the integrated marketing communication. So this is your target audience, and your integrated marketing communication must do the role of informing, reminding and persuading, or informing, persuading and reminding. Usually in this sometimes you may do informing and reminding in a interactive fashion, ultimately to persuade. This is your ultimate goal. So this is at the PLC stage. I was mentioning when Professor Mishra was talking about yesterday on the product life cycle stage, and I was saying that there is a close correlation between the product life cycle and our promotion strategy. So at the early stage our focus is on informing, and at the growth stage our role is on persuading, because here we are getting few first customers, the first 100 customers. This is where we want to get the next 10,000 or next 1 million customers. So here the role is persuading a much larger and larger circles of people. But at the maturity stage our communication role is to continue to remind that this is a great product, this has had a great run, so many people have used it and they have been satisfied. So you see how the communication core shifts with respect to the life cycle. And again we discussed this in detail, all these models for purchase process. So this is the attention, interest, desire, action, and as you see advertising plays a crucial role to create attention and draw interest, whereas public relations covers attention, interest, desire. But when it comes to action, final action, that is the purchase action, we see the key roles are played by sales promotion and personal selling. At that stage, when the final decision is being made, advertising or public relations does not play much of a role. So according to the buying process, as you go along the buying process, the marketer's promotion strategy has to be tuned to the purchaser stage. So we discussed this, that at the attention stage the focus of your marketing communication will have to be on cognitive, on the thinking issue, on the logic issues, whereas at the interest and desire stage your focus, marketing communication, has to focus on affective or feeling issues, and finally at the action stage the focus has to be on conative, which is the academic term of doing the purchase. And then we discussed about this push strategy and pull strategy, and this is in the push strategy, manufacturer promotes to wholesaler, wholesaler promotes to retailer, retailer promotes to consumer, consumer buys from retailer. So this is your pushing it across the channel, coming from inside to outside, whereas pull strategy is something like outside in, because what happens is here manufacturer promotes the consumer to the consumer, consumer feels the urge to buy the product, goes to the retailer and asks for the product, the retailer will then demand the product from the wholesaler and the wholesaler will get it from the manufacturer. And we know, we have discussed that for integrated marketing communication, for most products we need today to combine the push as well as the pull strategy. So this is the factors that affect the promotional mix, that what percentage will be spent on advertising, what percentage on public relations, and that will need the nature of the product life cycle position, the target market characteristics, the type of buying decision, funds available and push or pull strategy, and how this is used. And we have had a lot of discussion during the week when we discussed promotion. So these are the promotional mix. Advertising is impersonal, it is one way mass communication. On the other hand, so the integrated marketing communication sort of carefully coordinates, not only, so whenever you think about promotion, do not just think about advertising, usually people do that, but remember that we have to actually carefully calibrate all of these different possibilities together. So and today this integrated marketing communication is very important because there is a proliferation of media, there is a proliferation of products, we are living in the time of hyper competition, and the mass market itself is fragmented, and there is lot of slashing of expenditure on advertising. So there is a need for going to the new media from the traditional media. So traditional media for advertising was television, radio, newspaper, magazine, etc. But now we are lot of low cost options are available,
more targeted promotional
and which can be very, very powerful.
Yeah.
So that's the point that is made here. Public relations and its approach is very important today. You do press conferences, you give out information, and then so you maintain a positive image. You often use public relations is essential when you have to handle a crisis, like recently then when we had the Maggie noodles adverse situation and how Nestle handled it. Public relations role becomes crucial at that stage. And finally the sales promotion, you use free samples, contest, give some premiums, trade shows, coupons. These are used either to end consumers or company employees, trade customers. These also have a very crucial role. So marketing communication can be interpersonal, it can be mass communication. Usually we think always in this term, but as we are using more and more new media, we are seeing that the interpersonal communication can be emulated now using technology. This is the general model for communication that we had discussed, and I am now coming to the last 4 slides. So each one of these, like advertising here, communication mode is indirect, impersonal, communication control is low, feedback is little, feedback speed is delayed, message flow direction is one way, as I discussed, that this is more like spray and pray, whereas if you go to promotional mix, it is still one way, the message flow and the communication control, but when it comes to sales promotion, we are seeing the improvement. It is still mostly one way, but there can be conversations in sales promotion. There can be a press conference where you can actually have discussions, or in a trade show. But personal selling, which earlier was the most expensive, but obviously it is two way in message flow, so it is the much more effective, but this was very expensive and not possible for many products. But today, because of the internet, you can actually create agents on the net, which pretend to be human beings, and the machine therefore can, and I think we will see more and more improvement in this area, that you will be interacting with the machine to make your purchase decision, but to you it will appear as a person. and thereby we can make a lot of two-way communication happen even for small value purchases. So, I think this is the way the impact of new media is happening, and we will see lot of changes in this domain in both marketing communication, integrated marketing communication, as well as for distribution. We will see in the coming years a lot of new developments coming due to new technologies that will become available from information and communication technology tables. So, that wraps up our session, and good luck for your examination, those of you who are taking the certificate examination, and please do not hesitate to put up your questions, queries on the forum, and we will try to answer them as quickly and as thoroughly as we can. And it has been a very good course, and thank you for all the interactions. You have been very participative, and all the best. Bye.
Yeah, all the best. Thank you.